In a small rural town just outside Busan, South Korea, there lived a girl named Zahara. Her skin was deep brown like roasted coffee beans, smooth and radiant under the sun, yet constantly scrutinized by narrow eyes and cruel whispers. She had grown up an outsider. Her mother was African, her father Korean, and neither stayed long enough to give her the life she deserved. After bouncing between orphanages and foster homes, Zahara eventually aged out of the system. At 20, she worked 2 part-time jobs, waitressing in the mornings and cleaning in the evenings, barely scraping by. The town barely acknowledged her. She was too different, too quiet, too dark-skinned for their liking. Yet Zahara kept going, because what choice did she have? She dreamed of leaving, but reality weighed too heavy. Then one day, life made a cruel joke. The elderly foster grandmother, who took her in before passing away, had left a debt behind. The landlord wanted compensation, and the only way out. A marriage agreement he offered out of the blue. A marriage to his estranged, reckless grandson. His name was Minjae. A mechanic. Tall, rough around the edges, and seemingly disinterested in life. He lived in a small auto repair garage on the outskirts of the town. People whispered about him too. Reckless. Wasted potential. Ran away from something big. Zahara was told, "Marry him and your debts will be cleared." She looked at the man in jeans and a greasy fodder shirt, bent under a hood of a car, and said, "This is insane." Minjae barely looked up. "You think I want this either?" But desperation isn't patient. And both of them were too broken in their own ways to fight it. So, they signed papers. No rings. No vows. Just a legal form that bound 2 strangers into a contract neither of them wanted. Minjae didn't speak much. He let Zahara take the bedroom, and slept on a worn-out couch beside a rack of car parts. The garage doubled as a house, bare, unpolished, cluttered. But it had hot water and a door that locked. Zahara didn't complain. Instead, she worked quietly, cooking simple meals, cleaning what she could, and sleeping with headphones in to drown out her thoughts. She couldn't understand why her chest felt so tight near him. Minjae didn't stare, didn't ask her questions. But he noticed her long eyelashes, the delicate way she braided her hair at night, and the bruises on her soul that she didn't speak of. He began to leave breakfast out for her. He fixed her busted shoes without a word. And one night, when he heard her crying behind the bathroom door, he placed a steaming mug of hot chocolate outside and walked away before she came out. Winter arrived with a vengeance. Zahara caught the flu and passed out while doing laundry outside. Minjae had found her collapsed on the snow-covered concrete, burning up with fever. He carried her in, hands trembling, heart racing, and stayed by her side for 2 straight days. Feeding her soup. Changing her towels. Whispering words she couldn't hear. When she finally opened her eyes, weak and confused, she found Minjae asleep by her side, holding her hand. Everything changed after that. They began to talk. First about mundane things, how long the noodles should boil, which detergent smelled better. Then about music. Childhood memories. The pain of being invisible in your own town. Zahara began to laugh more, and Minjae began to smile. One night, while she was helping him organize old tools, she slipped and tripped over a loose socket wrench. Minjae caught her in time, and she landed in his arms. Their faces were inches apart. Neither of them moved. He could smell her lavender shampoo. She could feel the thump of his heart against her chest. She pulled away first, blushing, embarrassed, and mumbled a thanks. He turned and coughed, pretending not to be affected, but his hands trembled. That night, neither of them slept. But Zahara didn't know the real truth. Minjae wasn't just a mechanic. He was the only son of a tech empire that rivaled some of Korea's top firms. He had walked away from his inheritance after discovering his father's company used unethical labor in underdeveloped countries. Disgusted and disillusioned, he had left it all behind, faking recklessness so no one would look for him. The garage, paid for in full. His bank account, still fat, still untouched. But Zahara saw none of that. She only saw a man who treated her kindly, without pity. Who saw her not as a burden, but as someone worth warming up to. And Minjae. He had fallen deeply for her. Every smile chipped away at his walls. It was during a power outage. They lit candles and sat close beneath a thick blanket, sipping instant coffee. Minjae stared at her face lit by candlelight, then said softly, "If we weren't married by force, I would have wanted to meet you anyway." Zahara blinked. He reached for her hand. She didn't pull back. "I think I love you," he whispered, voice rough with fear. She didn't speak. She leaned in and pressed her forehead against his instead. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Then don't leave," she whispered. He pulled her into his chest. "I wasn't planning to." One evening, he took her on a drive in a sleek, black car she'd never seen before. She blinked. "Where did you get this?" He pulled up to a mansion, gated, golden lit, towering. She was speechless. He took her hand and said, "I need to show you something." Inside, he revealed it all, his wealth, his legacy, his true identity. "I never wanted this life, Zahara. I walked away. But I want you to know who I am, because I want a life with you. Not by force, but because I love you." She stared at him, shaking. "You're rich," she said, eyes wide. He chuckled nervously. "Yeah." Insanely. Then her eyes filled with tears. "But I fell in love with a mechanic." He stepped closer. "I'm still that man. The only difference is, now I can give you the world. If you'll let me." Zahara smiled through her tears. "Then start with forever." They married again, this time with real vows, laughter, and Zahara in a dress made of silk and dreams. Her skin glowed under fairy lights, and Minjae kissed her like the world had gone still. They moved into a home together, opened a foundation for abandoned girls of mixed heritage, and lived lives built not on riches, but on resilience, respect, and a kind of love that only rises from ashes. Every night, he'd whisper in her ear, "You saved me." And she'd answer, "No, we saved each other." And they lived happily, not just ever after, but ever forward. Like fire from forgotten embers.